And salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on our YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends over at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around to talk about our favorite things in the world: movies, movie news, TV and streaming, all sorts of good stuff. I'm joined by Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Back there joining you guys in the live chat is Ray Ora. Running the show is producer Jonathan Voico. We got Taylor over here joining us as well. And most importantly, you guys are here joining us today. Thank you so much for making this show part of your day. Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it into two parts. First half of the show, we talk about some predetermined topics. Then the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. That happens two ways. Number one, you got to be watching live. Number two, when we get to the end of the main topics, we'll announce that we're opening up the super chats, and that will be your time to fire in your thoughts, theories, opinions, and questions, and Rob and I will address those in the second half of the show. Okay, guys, let's dive right into it here today, shall we? We're going to start with a couple of off the tops, and one of them is this. You know, I have said for a very long time that not just maybe the best animation studio in Hollywood, but I believe for a very, very long time that the best studio, period, in Hollywood was Pixar. Pixar had a streak of, like, I think they had an 8-year streak where 6 of their films were the number one critically rated films of the year. They just crank out successful films. They crank out great films. They've had a few stumbles here and there, but overall they're pretty incredible. Now, of course, they've been treated like dog shit under Bob Chapek lately. But aside from that, whenever a Pixar film is coming out, it's something to look forward to. And they just dropped, just this morning, a brand new trailer, the first trailer for their upcoming film, Elemental. Now, when I first heard of Elemental, and we heard the concept, they give a very, very vague concept of it, right? To me, I thought, oh, so this is Inside Out. This is going to be just like Inside Out, except with these little cartoony characters that are emotions. We're going to have little cartoony characters that are elements or whatever. Wasn't really sure what it was going to be. So when Taylor came bounding in here this morning going, there's an Elemental trailer. That's exactly how he sounded. There's an Elemental trailer, just like that. A
little bit higher pitched.
A little higher pitched.
A little higher pitched.
And he came in. He was very, very excited about the Elemental trailer. Did not know what to expect from it. So I popped it on. I'll tell you what. I really like this trailer. It's very, very simple. It is, by all definition, a initial teaser. I mean, we don't know anything about the movie. It just gives you a sense of the tone of just a little bit. But what becomes clearer in it is that Pixar is doing something that they have really never done before. They're doing a straight up romantic comedy. I watch this and I'm like, they're doing a rom-com. And I'll tell you what, I was taken immediately. I was grinning and I was smiling, like when the woman with the pots and the baby dirt came out of the pots. I mean, just everything about it was really, really cute. And so this is not what I was expecting out of this film. But I'll tell you what, if Pixar is now going to try to lean a little, not adult as in mature, but a little bit of more adult themes, like things that more adults. Because here's the great thing about Pixar, Rob. Pixar, I've said this for a long time. Pixar has never made what I would call, they've never made kids films. Pixar makes what I call kid-friendly films. I go so far as to say they're not even family films. They're family-friendly films. Because when you go back, they have this tradition. You go back to even something like Incredibles, right? 60% of Incredibles, kids under 13 will have no idea what they're talking about, right? Because it's all, a lot of it, that stuff is targeted at adults. People who are middle-aged and stuff like that. That's the brilliance of this. So to see them kind of lean into a genre like this, I not only go, well, that's a bold step to take. I kind of think to myself, I'm surprised they haven't done it up till now, but it looks good. What did you think about the trailer?
Well, first of all, I thought there was more wit, whimsy, creativity in 60 seconds in that trailer than you see sometimes in a whole year in Hollywood.
Yeah.
That just the idea. I wonder if, like, in a story session, they're sitting around going, what if we could take the periodic table of elements and use that as a basis and we'll come up with a movie based on that, and then they turn it into just this character walking through the subway car, seeing all of these different characters, and those interactions were so clever and so fun. And it totally puts a smile on your face. And then at the end, you get this meet cute. And even on the poster we just showed, elements react. Come on. I mean, the
It's
intelligence.
educational too, Rob.
I mean, but the
Opposites
intelligence,
react.
the intelligence and the thought behind movies like Inside Out or Up, or like you said, John. When I was a kid, I remember seeing, like, even on Disney Plus, the first movie I ever watched on it was That Darn Cat, which was a live action Disney movie from the 60s. But it was all full of adults, except for Haley Mills. And they used to make children's programming that it assumed kids were smart, and it didn't pander to them. And like you said, Pixar's movies are very smart. Even a movie like Cars, which is more overtly for children, I think, than anything else, is still really it's a smart movie. But you look at Elemental, if you're an adult watching this, it's really clever. So you can't not. And look at the opening 10 minutes of Up.
Oh my God. Well, look at the whole nature and themes of Inside Out, which we were talking about. You look at the themes of Wall-E.
I mean, these are
You're
films,
right.
like you said, they're kid friendly, but these are movies that they're moving, they're emotional, they're engrossing, they're creative, they're great stories first and foremost that give you characters that you can't forget. And I think back to you go back to Toy Story, or even a movie that I dearly love that nobody seems to talk about, A Bug's Life. I love A Bug's Life, and like nobody talks about A Bug's Life, and
Was
so
that James Wood that was Chopper?
it was so.
I think it was James Wood that did the voice. Yeah.
And all the characters in that movie, but everything that Pixar has done, I don't think, we talk about the MCU being the most successful financially, but man, Pixar, as far as pound for pound creativity at that studio, you can't do better.
I got to admit, me being who I am, when I watched this trailer, the first question that came to my mind was, okay, how are they going to have sex? I mean, I get it. It's a Pixar film. We are probably not going to see the bumping of uglies in a Pixar film. I was thinking, like, he just touched her hand and there was like this evaporative reaction, right? So as Rob, you pointed out beforehand, it'd be the world's worst case of fire crotch. I mean, how does that happen? Come on.
Hey, she's a redhead, John. That's all I need to know.
I'm just the only one brave enough to say it out loud. We're all thinking the same thing. How does this happen? Everybody's thinking the same thing. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think of the trailer for Pixar's Fire Crotch? Whatever you thought about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Way to take something sweet and innocent and just ruin it, John. Yeah, I know. Anyway, all right. With that down, guys, let's move into another off the top here. And this one's interesting. That one is this. One of the most beloved guy classic movies is Escape from New York. One of the most bemoaned sequels of all time is Escape from LA. But you guys have heard that this has been going on for a few years. There's been whispers and rumblings for a few years about them rebooting Escape from New York. But now there are reports going around that they may not be doing a reboot of Escape from New York, but rather they're looking at doing a new sequel with Kurt Russell.
Thank God.
Now, this comes to us from the folks over at Joe Blow, who wrote about the initial report. This is a remake of John Carpenter's 1981 sci-fi action film Escape from New York has been in development for many years, passing through the hands of filmmakers like Len Wiseman, Brett Ratner, Beck Eisner, Robert Rodriguez, and Lee Wanell. But a rumor has emerged that the remake plans have been scrapped and we're actually going to be getting a sequel to Escape from New York with Kurt Russell reprising his role as Snake Plissken. Now, what's really interesting is that there's a little bit of an update to the story where they're saying, our friends at Bloody Disgusting, of course, one of the most prominent horror sites on the web, have been for a long time. Our friends at Bloody Disgusting have been able to confirm that Radio Silence, that's the trio of guys who have been directing and running the Scream films lately, are in talks with 20th Century Fox about directing the Escape from New York project. But they have not been able to confirm from their contacts whether or not Kurt Russell will be part of it. So the initial rumor saying Kurt Russell is. The follow-up that Bloody Disgusting has done is said, yep, the Scream directors are talking. They can confirm that they are talking with 20th Century right now about directing a new sequel. And there was no denial or anything saying that Kurt Russell wouldn't be a part of it. But so let's go with, for now, for the sake of discussion, that maybe Kurt Russell's a part of this. Rob, let me ask you this. There's a couple of questions here. Now, I know you're a big fan of the original. So 3 different questions, really. Number one, what do you think about the notion of doing an Escape from New York sequel? What do you think about the Scream directors doing it? And is it vital that Kurt Russell's a part of it? Like, does it change your potential enthusiasm for this project if he is in it or is not in it? How do you see this?
Well, first of all, I mean, look, despite the fact that I found Escape from LA to be monumentally disappointing, Kurt Russell was not disappointing in it. You know, I think that computer technology was not, the CG did not serve it well. You did not have James Cameron working on the visual effects like he did on the first movie. It's sort of unfortunate, but I'm a huge John Carpenter fan and I'm a huge Kurt Russell fan. And I particularly love John Carpenter's collaboration with Kurt Russell. He did Escape from New York. He did Elvis. He did The Thing. He did Big Trouble in Little China. They were the two of them. They did one of the greatest audio commentaries ever. I love them together. And obviously Carpenter won't be directing this film, but I would love to see Kurt Russell come back because they always talked about doing a third movie, Escape from Earth. Now, I don't know if they would do that, but I mean, where was Earth left at the end of Escape from LA? It was kind of bleak, but I mean, that's not good CG, John.
That's dope.
What are you talking
about?
That, come on, man.
That's amazing.
That's
what are you talking about?
That was pretty much, there's the problem with Escape from LA in one image.
It's Surf City, baby.
But it is Peter Fonda surfing. Just pointing that out.
Oh, I got part out. Mark24 Gaming in our live chat says for Kurt Russell, they should call it Escape from Retirement.
No.
Oh, sorry, he says Escape from Retirement Home.
Well, I think the great thing, look at him in the Fast and Furious franchise.
Oh, he's awesome.
And he's a
Kurt
baller
Russell.
Santa Claus. But I think that that making a movie like this could be really cool because, you know, look, if you look at the record of reboots, the RoboCop reboot, the Total Recall reboot, I think what Top Gun Maverick, at least for the next couple of years till all these movies, the movies in the wake of Top Gun Maverick fail, I love the idea that we now live in a Cobra Kai, Top Gun Maverick world where you can bring people back 35 years later and make viable movies that people or shows that people love. And I think Escape from New York, as long as they bring back Carpenter at least to do the music like he did with the Halloween, because Shirley Walker and him collaborated on Escape from LA, but I would love to, look, dude, Escape from New York is 1981. It's 40, what is that? 41 years old. I mean, 41 years later, if they started it now, we'll get it 43 years later. I would love to see an older Snake Plissken and find out what happened to him. You know, what's later in life, it would be Snake Plissken's Unforgiven.
Ooh.
That's what I want to see. That's how I pitch it. Snake Plissken's Unforgiven.
Cross with an old man Logan.
Yes, there you go. That's the movie. That's the movie right there. I would greenlight, if I was a studio, you know what? If you took that to Warner Brothers and I was Peter Safran and James Gunn, I would walk in and I'd go to David Zaslav. I know this is in our part of the studio, but Old Man Logan meets Unforgiven, which is a Warner Brothers movie. That should be the new Escape from New York movie. Let's make that. Come on, David Zaslav. Sneak that away from 20th Century Fox.
All right, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? Would you be interested? Do you think there would be a wide audience for an Escape from New York?
Hell
sequel?
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. How vital is it that Kurt Russell be a part of it? Or do you think they could do it without him? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's do one more off the top here today, shall we? And that is this. You know, I had a team get together and do some research for me today, and they have confirmed for me that today is Martin Scorsese's 80th birthday. Happy birthday, Martin Scorsese. Whatever you think about his comments about comic book movies or whatever, there's no denying he is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, with some of the most beloved, amazing films ever made. He turns 80. I remember the first chance I had to meet Martin Scorsese. They were doing, I can't remember if it was the 40th anniversary of Taxi Driver. It was either the 30th or the 40th anniversary of Taxi Driver. I can't remember. And they invited me to come to New York for a special screening at the Directors Guild in New York, and then to interview Martin Scorsese. Now, I'm not a big fan of going to New York, and I hate flying. And so that's like a 5.5 hour flight from LA. So, and Dennis doesn't like flying either. But I needed Dennis to come to produce and be the cameraman and all that kind of stuff. So we're like, oh, okay, but we don't want to do this. But for Martin Scorsese, of course we're going to do it. So we go to the airport, we get on the plane, we take a turbulent laden flight from LA to New York, get off the plane, turn our phones on, and the first messages we get is, Scorsese can't do the interview now. Because there was some controversy going up that broke that day about him in New York State and taxes or something like that. So his publicist canceled all interviews. So we're like, what? So we were like standing on the ground in New York. We still got to go though to the DGA screening. We still got to meet and talk to Martin Scorsese, which was great. But listen, again, regardless of what you think, I know he's been in the news a lot lately for making some stupid comments about comic book films or whatever, but be that as it may, this guy's incredible. Now, Variety, in celebrating the 80th birthday of Martin Scorsese, who is still going strong, they decided to put together their list of what they call the top 25 Martin Scorsese movies. And I got to tell you, when you start going down this list, like, of course, you know in your head, he's one of the greatest of all time. But when you start going down the list, you're still like, my goodness, he's really one of the greatest of all times. They list Silence as his number one film.
You know, I've never seen it. It's the only one of his films I haven't seen.
I've always said this is a very underrated film. Now I would not put it at the top. I wouldn't even put it in the top 5 personally, but it is a very underrated film. So you had Adam Driver, Andrew Garfield, Liam Neeson, with powerhouse performances from all of them. So they've got that at number 1, really interesting. Raging Bull, that's going to be in everybody's Martin Scorsese top 5. I doubt you'll meet somebody who won't have Raging Bull unless they haven't seen it. Have Raging Bull in their top 5. We move on from that. Goodfellas, a lot of people, this will be number 1 for a lot of people. Then we go all the way down to number 4, The Departed, which I think is my favorite Martin Scorsese movie. It won Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Still the only Best Director Oscar that Martin Scorsese has is from The Departed. And that's, of course, it's a remake of my all-time favorite cop film called Infernal Affairs. Number 5, Age of Innocence, which I'll be honest with you, before I was reading this list, I'd completely forgotten about this movie.
You know, I love this movie, and I've always had to defend my love of it, but it's great. I watched it recently. It's still great. I love
Michelle Pfeiffer, the GOAT, Daniel Day-Lewis in it. Then we go down to number 6, Taxi Driver. Again, I think most people would probably have this in their top 5, but Taxi Driver, all-time iconic film. Then we go down to Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore from 1974. That I haven't watched that one since I was probably like, oh God, 18 or something like that. Number 8, we were just talking about this film the other day, The Last Temptation of Christ. Number 9, I know for a lot of people, this will also be in their top 5, Martin Scorsese's The King of Comedy. This movie's incredible. Number 10, The Wolf of Wall Street. Here's something funny. This is how good Martin Scorsese is. He's got a movie like Wolf of Wall Street, and a lot of people barely have it in the top 10.
Yeah, dude. This movie's awesome.
And then Gangs of New York is awesome.
Which I also love.
Cape Fear, which is incredibly awesome. I love that. Shutter Island, which is maybe his second most underrated film to me, is Shutter Island. You got Bring Out the Dead, which is incredible. This is one I haven't seen. Kundun, I can't even remember the pronunciation. This is the one on this list. There might be 2 on the list, but this is at least the one on the list that I have not seen. So I'm not familiar with this one, to be honest with you, but they got listed as number 15. Then you get into The Irishman at number 16, a movie that was nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Number 6. But that's just the thing here, Rob. I mean, that's the career. And we haven't even gotten to Hugo, which I thought was absolutely spectacular.
Color of Money.
Color of Money.
Aviator, I love. I mean,
Aviator?
it's Tom Cruise movie. The Color of Money is not even apparently going to make the top 20.
No, they do. They have it. Where do they have it? It is on this list here.
By the way, Casino deserves to be way higher than that.
Casino. There's Hugo. There it is. Color of Money. They have Color of Money at number 24.
Hey, it made the list.
But I mean, that just goes into again about just how incredible this list is. Like Hugo's at 22. The Aviator's at 21. I mean, the movies on this guy's New York is at number 20. That is, I mean, that's why a guy like Scorsese and guys like Spielberg are so rare. Where it's not until you start going through their list and you're like, oh, good luck even putting together a top 10.
Yeah, I think you could have moved New York to the 25 and brought those other 2
I
down.
would have. I would say that too.
Maybe, but let me ask you this, Rob. On the 80th birthday today of Martin Scorsese, I think it's undisputable he's one of the greatest of all time. What are one or two of the films for you that somebody stops and says, what's your favorite Martin Scorsese movie? What one or two or maybe three pop into your head?
Oh, well, the first thing that always pops in my head is Taxi Driver. But I don't know if I'd tell somebody today to watch Taxi Driver. Goodfellas is pretty timeless.
Yeah.
I love the first hour of Casino, I think is one of the greatest first hours of any movie ever made. I love most of The Aviator till Howard Hughes gets a little too nutty, but it's still great when the Spruce Goose takes off. I love that. And Color Money is really great too. I couldn't even begin. And The Departed is awesome. I can't even, The Departed might have my favorite Mark Wahlberg performance in it.
He got nominated for an Academy Award for that.
He's so good in that movie. And who would
how good was the dynamic with him and Alec Baldwin?
Oh, it's just the best. I mean, his movies are just, I think like Kundun is a good movie, but I wouldn't put it just because I don't have as much fun with it, and Last Temptation of Christ, again, Martin Scorsese's movies are fun to watch. And I would say if you want to watch for modern audiences, Wolf of Wall Street. Because Wolf of Wall Street's a very contemporary film. It's a sprawling epic, and it's hilarious.
It's that scene where he remembers driving home, and then you actually see how he drives home. That's one of the great sequences ever. Hey, Jonathan, I know you're a big Scorsese guy as well. If I were to ask you, one or two instantly come to the top of your head of Martin Scorsese films?
Knee-jerk reaction is going to say Goodfellas. And it's like Rob said, it's like you're so safe in suggesting Goodfellas because more than likely people are going to appreciate that when you do. Something like Taxi Driver, although I think is a masterpiece, that's going to be a rough first sell for someone who's not familiar with his work. Even Raging Bull, I don't really like the character.
That's the thing. I mean, he's got two different kinds of movies for me. He's got movies that are important and they're great. Silence is a great movie, but it's not fun.
No doubt. No. I think it's tremendously underrated, but I agree. It's not a fun movie.
Whereas Scorsese, when he's in fun mode, Wolf of Wall Street, right, Goodfellas, Casino, Color of Money, King of Comedy, these movies are just delicious to eat, like to sit down there and consume.
You know what? Did Mean Streets even make it on that list? I didn't see it.
I didn't see it on the list.
Wow.
No. You got to put Mean Streets on that list too.
All right, guys. Question is for you. On this, the 80th birthday of one of the masters, Maestro Martin Scorsese. What do you guys think? What's his best work to you? What are the movies that instantly come to mind when you think of a Martin Scorsese movie? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys, with that down, we're going to take just a quick second here and thank one of the sponsors of today's show, our friends at MeUndies.
The holidays are officially upon us, and it's time to start celebrating. Do your thing and holiday your way with MeUndies. Because it's the most wonderful time of the year to try MeUndies, because they're currently offering a very merry deal. Get 20% off your first purchase with free standard shipping and free returns when you go to MeUndies.com/Campea. Guys, you know I've been wearing MeUndies for a while now because I used to be like everybody else. I would go to the big store, buy the biggest box of the most generic underwear, and I thought that was good enough. But ever since I started MeUndies and started wearing the most comfortable underwear I have ever worn in my life, I swear on this Christmas season, I will never go back. So get your holiday shopping finished early and start making time for yourself with the new MeUndies holiday collection. Their undies, long underwear, and sleepwear are made out of the softest, most supple fabric you've ever felt and are guaranteed to bring you comfort and joy to all of your loved ones. Shop their classic plaid prints for a traditional, picture-perfect style, or get festive with their adventurous limited edition sweater prints. Available in sizes extra small all the way through 4XL, MeUndies has what you need to make all of your favorite people smile this holiday season, all in one convenient place. So to get 20% off your first order, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/Campea.
And thank you to our friends at MeUndies for giving me the most comfortable underwear I've ever worn, and that is not even remotely an exaggeration, but for also sponsoring today's episode of The John Campea Show. Okay, guys, with that down, let's get over to our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. If you've guys got a question, you'd like to hear your voice on the show, you can call our Mint Mobile hotline anytime 24/7 at 951-268-4259. Call it on up, leave your message, and you just might hear your voice on our show. So what's our first Mint Mobile hotline question today?
Hi, John and crew. This is Shalise. Now that Phase 4 is officially over, I was wondering if you thought that any of the series would have been a better fit for film, or vice versa. Were any of the movies too much for the theatrical release? Should they have been a series instead? Thanks so much. Have a good day.
All right. Thanks for calling that in, Shailene. And we've been talking a lot about Phase 4 lately because even though it's not being talked about a bunch by others, the end of Wakanda Forever marks the end officially of Phase 4. And Phase 4, we've said a lot on this show, well, it's had some absolute gems, some absolute diamonds in Phase 4. It has easily been the most uneven phase of the MCU so far, right? I mean, Phase 1, 2, and 3 all firing on all cylinders. Phase 4 has had some sputters, right? It's been the least consistent of them, but it's also been the first phase that has had Disney Plus Marvel TV shows in them. And I think Shailene brings up an interesting question because sometimes we look at these properties and think, man, that really would have worked better as a movie. I think instantly of Obi-Wan, that Obi-Wan series absolutely should have been a movie. And I forget the name of the good guy online who edited that movie, who edited the series into a movie, cut like 45 or 50 minutes of stuff out, moved some things around, blah, blah, and made like a 2.5 hour, well, I'm not gonna say it's a masterpiece or anything like that, but it was significantly more enjoyable to watch than it was as a TV series. That absolutely should have been there. So as we look at MCU Phase 4, what movies maybe should have been series and what series maybe should have been movies? Let's start with the movie part and maybe which one of those should have been a series. I honestly can only think of one because Shang-Chi, I think is a top 5 Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Maybe two. There are two potentials. Thor, Love and Thunder is not one of them. Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness is not one of them. Wakanda Forever is not one of them. The two that could possibly stand to have been series, one to me is actually Black Widow. I think Black Widow, because it certainly couldn't do worse than it did as a movie. And not that I thought the movie was terrible. I just think it's one of their weaker films, right? And the way with those types of characters, you can do political intrigue, you can do all that kind of stuff. The number of really enjoyable characters you have in it, particularly I think of Red Guardian, that could have been a 6-part, 7-part series, I think. So there's that one. A movie that I did quite like that maybe could have worked as a series instead might be Eternals.
100%. That's the first thing that came to mind.
Why is that for you? Why is that?
Well, because the idea that the Eternals have been here shaping all of human history, and it's all about this.
You could have done a little Highlander in there, right?
Yeah, Highlander or even Succession. To me, I would have watched that with those dynamics and that actor, and you could really have done it as a 10-part miniseries and delve into more of the history of the world and how they shaped humanity, because that was all very interesting. And I think that if we were able to spend more time with them, the end of that would have been much more resonant. I mean, there was two storylines like Icarus and also
Siri?
Athena coming to grips with who they were, like the different characters and their arcs could have really worked, I think, stretched out. I would have turned, so that would be the movie I would think should have been a series. And the movie, this is going to seem strange to say, I would have done She-Hulk as a comedy. Make it a 2-hour.
So you're talking about now which series you could have made a movie.
So I'd make the things that struck me as most is Eternal should have been a series and She-Hulk should have been a 2-hour movie. And gone out and made it could have been a really, really, really funny movie. Much more rapid fire. I mean, you could take the worthy jokes out of all that and just turn it into, it would have been such a much more focused, satisfying experience if it was her journey as a lawyer in the superhero realm and that was it.
Yeah, you know what's funny? If you had asked me prior to the start of Phase 4, which of these shows is best suited for a TV show, I would have said She-Hulk. You're going to do an Ally McBeal legal procedural.
Me too.
She-Hulk is the perfect one for a series. But I think part of the reason why I agree with you is just because I was so dissatisfied with the show.
I know.
Because it only works as a movie if it does what the TV show didn't, which is make it funny. So they would have needed an entirely different set of writers and they would have needed to make it funny.
And they had all the pieces they needed. It just didn't, it meandered around as a series. It was like every time, and they could take all the funny stuff. Like you could actually take all the things that are in that series and craft a really funny movie out of it. And you know what I would have done, John? Even this is going to see, people are going to be, what? I would have structured it like the movie Tootsie. Because in Tootsie, Dustin Hoffman turns into a woman.
Yes.
And in this case, the main character turns into She-Hulk. But you could have played out, there was a romantic element, there was learning how to do the job element, and there was all kinds of things, and used that structurally as something you could have hung the movie on. I'm not saying copy Tootsie, but it has a similar, somebody's transforming into something
Yeah, there's
else.
a structure there that could have been followed.
Yeah.
See, for me, when we're talking about the movies that maybe could have been series, it's limited. Like maybe Black Widow, Eternals could be one. I think far more about the series that should have been movies. She-Hulk, I think, is one of them.
Yep.
Loki is another one I think would have worked better as a movie. Like, despite the fact that it was just 6 episodes, there was a lot of filler in that series. And that could have been a really good, tight 2-hour and 20-minute movie, I think.
I agree. And I would say also, I think Falcon and Winter Soldier.
That's my number one, is Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That
That's
could have
the one
made
should
a
been
great movie. But, I'm sure someone was thinking, well, we have 2 second stringers. But that you elevate them to first string. And that could have been, again, all the stuff in that show was pretty good. It was just drawn out. It didn't
feel
work.
like it was structured as a show.
No.
And when they tried to make it, it just, and again, and I like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I like it, but I didn't love it. And I think it could have had a better impact because you just think about that basic story, right? The whole thing that the shield was given away. They're trying to implement this new Captain America. Meanwhile, Bucky and Sam have to work together. The thing about there was another super soldier before me, that whole thing, and with where it ends, I think as a movie, it could have been tighter, could have been better. And the other one, I think, if that Captain Winter Soldier is my number one, I think my number 2 is Moon Knight.
Yeah.
That's another one that I think you could have told a good 2-hour, bam, kind of in your face kind of Moon Knight film. And I think that one, so there's actually more for me of the series. The ones that absolutely worked as a series, WandaVision, obviously.
Yes.
Ms. Marvel, obviously. But I think all the other ones could have been movies.
Although Ms. Marvel could have been a great 2-hour movie too.
But it felt like a show, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
very
it did.
Episodic
It did. But I would like to see that Obi-Wan editor take a crack at re-editing Falcon and Winter Soldier into a movie.
Oh my, okay. If you're watching, dude, I know he does watch because when we talked about it on the show before, he actually wrote to me on Instagram. If you're watching, dude, I would love to see you take a crack at Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Turn that into like a 2-hour, 22-hour, 30-minute movie.
Yeah.
I would love to see what you do with that. Anyway, guys, question is for you. When you look back at Marvel Phase 4 now, at the movies, which ones do you think might have worked better as a series? When you look at the series, which ones do you think might have worked better as movies? Whatever you think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, because it's such a good day, we're going to take a second Mint Mobile Hotline question. So what else do we got in the Mint Mobile Hotline?
Hey, Campea crew. Just your average Jose here. I've noticed that film and TV actors have been diving into video games. Not just their voices, but likeness as well. Angela Bassett and Carrie-Anne Moss did it for Horizon Forbidden West earlier this year, and Richard Schiff plays Odin in the new God of War game. How far are we to seeing a game filled with star-studded actors? And will SAG-AFTRA have to change the way actors get paid when it comes to making these games? Thanks, guys.
All right, Jose, thanks for calling that in. And you're right. There has always been celebrity names, like going all the way back to Wing Commander.
Right.
Remember Wing Commander?
Yeah, and the movie.
Mark Hamill.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
That's right, Freddie did the movie. But in the game, Mark Hamill did one of those. Biff from Back to the Future was in there as well. I mean, so there's a long tradition of that. But you're not wrong. You're starting to see this major uptick in significant, recognizable actors that are doing these things more. And it's not just used to be actors. It's not just actors who used to have a name. It's like current, like Giancarlo Esposito. Was it the Far Cry game?
Far Cry 5,
Far Cry 5, like Giancarlo
Or
Esposito.
6, Far Cry 6.
Stepping in there. Like we're seeing these completely relevant big names now starting to do it. Do I think there's going to come a time when like each game is going to be like each movie where there's 4 or 5 big, legitimately recognizable stars? I'll say this. I hope not. Because much like animated, I would prefer these games to have just like really good, talented voice actors doing it. But once in a while, having the right big name celebrity in it, like a Mike Myers doing the voice of Shrek or something like that, that can be very, very effective and work very well. Like, look at that. Look at Giancarlo there. That can work very, very well. in asking the question, why are we seeing a rise in this? There's a very, very simple answer. Money. A lot of these AAA games now today, first of all, the competitive landscape for the AAA gaming market has grown exponentially. I mean, it's crazy. So money that's getting spent is getting bigger. And you will do anything you can do to get a little bit of a leg up. And how many more copies did that Far Cry game get because Giancarlo Esposito was on the cover of it? Probably significant amount, right? So there's more money being put up. And if you're an actor, you remember we were talking to Chris Carr about this. If you're a performer like that, so wait, basically the extent of what you need me to do is, in the case of Just Voice, you need me to come down to Sunset Boulevard to Raymond's recording and just get in a booth for 2 days and record some dialogue, and you'll cut a check for how much? And then in some cases, some of them will even do some of the motion capture, but even then that's limited. They get because what happens is a lot of times they don't do all the motion capture. What they'll do is they'll get a couple of plates. So they get the actor in there in the motion capture suit to do some basic things like that so they can get their style. And then they can get other actors to replicate it, or they can even just animate or whatever. So even then, most of the time, there are exceptions, but most of the time it's not a big time commitment. You can literally go, well, I've got lunch free for the next few days. I can go down and record this thing for $75,000, for $200,000, or whatever it is they're getting paid. So, Rob, I remember when I was sitting down and talking to Michael Douglas once, and I was asking him, we were talking about his movie Las Vegas. And I'll always remember this answer, because this is one of the best answers I've ever got to something. And I asked him, what was it? Very standard question. I said, what was it about Las Vegas that appealed to you for doing this? Because I love Las Vegas. If you haven't seen it, it's terrific. But so what was it about appealed to you? And he kind of leaned, he took a breath. He goes, here's the thing. This is Michael Douglas. I am an actor for hire. I have my craft. And if somebody needs my craft done and they want to pay my fee, and it looks interesting to me, I'm happy to do it. I'm an actor for hire. This is my job. I perform. And I just remember thinking, this is Michael Douglas saying this. I loved that answer. And so when you're looking at this video game stuff, how's it any different? You need a performer. I'm a performer. Here's my rate. Can you pay my rate? And you only need me for what, 2 or 3 days? Bully, let's do it. So I think we are going to see this increase more. I don't think we're going to get to a point where we're going to see 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 huge A-list names or whatever, but I think it is growing. I think it'll continue to grow. Rob, how do you see this evolving, and why do you see?
Well, I think there's two things going on here too. Like a guy like Richard Schiff, who was also in Wakanda Forever, worked for the United Nations.
That's right, very small role, but a good one.
So I think a lot of the time, like I can speak to when we were working on Dota Dragon's Blood, Ashley told me the people that he wanted to hire, he's like, he wanted to get a lot of horror heroes to be voice actors, like John Krasinski, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And he got the voice of Pinhead, Doug Bradley, and he got Ashley Lawrence. And he just hired people that he thought were cool. Like, I'm going to go get all my favorite horror fans, I think, because he wanted to meet them. But they were all, like Jeffrey Combs was great. He hired Michael Dorn, who played Worf.
Yep.
Just because he liked his voice, and Anson Mount, who's now Captain Pike. He brought in all these people that he liked. In God of War, somebody must be a big West Wing fan. Because I can't imagine that you think to yourself, well, Richard Schiff should play Odin. I can't imagine it's because somebody was a Richard Schiff fan and saw in their mind, like, I'll bet Toby Ziegler could play a Norse god. I bet he could. And so now you're seeing with a lot of these characters, I think the creators of these games, who are all geeks, we're all geeks, right? If you get into positions of power like this, you take your pick and you hire these great voice actors that people might not think about. It's like James Gunn being hired by Kevin Feige to direct a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie after making Slither and Super.
Right.
Feige is probably a big James Gunn fan. And Kevin's like, this guy can tell stories. I'm going to hire him. I like his sensibility. Whereas another studio executive wouldn't do that. So on one hand, I think that's very cool. And second of all, it does, name recognition does help, like you pointed out, sell games. People look at a video game cover with, Giancarlo Esposito has been in everything from The Usual Suspects back in the 90s to Breaking Bad to now he's wielding a dark saber, Gus Fring, obviously. So you now have people that are in positions of power that are hiring these actors because of their cool factor. The fact that people like them. It's like, come play on in my thing. And so it's the creators love it and it makes good economic sense.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Have you also noticed there's been a bit of an uptake in the level of names and the number of names that we see now actually performing voice roles and some motion capture in video games? Do you think that's a trend that's going to continue? If so, what do you attribute that to? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, guys, we're going to move into our main topics here. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank another sponsor of our show. I watch these guys all the time. I watched the Bob Iger one again the other day because we were talking about Iger and Disney. I watched it again. The great folks over at MasterClass. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, MasterClass. You guys know we have been sponsored by MasterClass and we love them here at the John Campea Show for giving us in-depth information on a wide variety of topics from the world's best experts. With MasterClass, you can learn from the world's best minds anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. You can learn the art of filmmaking from James Cameron, improve your cooking skills from Gordon Ramsay, or learn how to make compelling YouTube videos from Marquise Brownlee. With over 150 classes from a range of world-class instructors, that thing you've always wanted to do is closer than you think. I was recently watching through the independent filmmaking course by Spike Lee, and I found it fascinating that not only did he cover the broader topics like working with actors, but he also gets into finer details like working with a cinematographer and how to properly audition a DP for your project. It was fascinating. So guys, I highly recommend that you check it out. Get unlimited access to every class, and as a John Campea Show listener, you get 15% off an annual membership. Go to masterclass.com/Campea now. That's masterclass.com/Campea for 15% off Masterclass. And thank you to our friends at MasterClass for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you support our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. So make sure you go down to the description of this video, and right near the top, you'll find links and promo codes for all of our sponsors. And again, all of us in this room highly, highly recommend MasterClass. You should go check it out. It's incredibly valuable. Anyway, thank you again to MasterClass. All right. With that down, guys, let's get into those main topics here, shall we? And how do we select our main topics on the John Campea Show? Well, that's where we need you guys, because you guys come up with our main topics. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime, 24/7, over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit. And then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. That down, Rob, what do we got up first?
Let's see what we got, John, from Edison. Edison says, "Hi, guys. While I'm still sitting here waiting for something to come out of Tarantino doing a Star Trek movie, I'll take this. News is out that Quentin Tarantino is going to do his first TV series. The only thing I can find is that it's going to be an 8-episode limited series that will come out really soon, like early 2023. What have you guys heard about this, and are you excited for a Quentin Tarantino TV show?"
All right, well, I mean, the first thing that came to my mind when I heard about this was, does this count as his 10th project? Remember, Quentin Tarantino said he's going to do one more, he's going to do 10 movies, and he's going to retire. By the way, I don't believe him. I think he means it, but there's no way he's going to stop after 10.
Like Steven Soderbergh retired to paint.
Yeah, at some point, an idea is going to hit him 3 or 4 years down the line. He's going to go, oh, I got to make this. But at any rate, but don't worry, this TV series will not count as that, because he said a movie is something that plays in theaters. So this wouldn't count according to Quentin Tarantino as his 10th. But yes, it sounds like Quentin Tarantino, who has directed some episodes of television, like he directed an episode of ER back in the day.
And Alias.
And that's right. That's right.
He did an Alias
So,
episode.
I mean, you go back then, but this would be his first show that he's actually kind of taking the reins on. This comes to us from the folks over at IndieWire, who write the following. Quentin Tarantino may be eyeing his final film, but also his first TV show. The Oscar-winning Pulp Fiction auteur is confirmed to be helming an upcoming 8-episode limited series. Tarantino broke the news during his Cinema Speculation book tour in New York City while in discussion with Elvis Mitchell, whose documentary, Am I Black Enough for You?, premiered on Netflix earlier this year. Tarantino's series will premiere, this is the part that caught me, will premiere in early 2023?
That can't be right.
I mean, that's so wait a minute. You not only got this together, decided to do it, wrote it, but that means this thing has to either, if not already been shot, it has to be in the midst of shooting right now. So I don't know if that was a misprint on their part about 2023, 2024, but let's put that aside for a second. Rob, how do you think somebody like a Quentin Tarantino could transition into doing a TV series? What do you think?
I think he could absolutely do it. I mean, we saw Soderbergh do it with like The Knick. You know, there's been other directors who've come in and done shows. I think he could absolutely do it. I mean, you know, Tarantino married an Israeli woman and he's been living in Israel. Maybe he shot something in Israel we don't know about.
Huh?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I could definitely see him doing something, but early 2023, I mean, agents and managers, actors would have definitely talked about this. It would have been on Deadline. There's been nothing about this show, but I think he could, whatever he would do. I mean, you know what I think that he would like about it, because, you know, he talked about doing that, like a Western show, the show that they were making inside Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Rick Dalton Western show. Maybe they did that. Maybe he did it. I mean, I don't know, but I could see that he probably would love the speed of it, like making something quick and dirty and fun. I could see him totally doing something like that.
What was the name of the show in
it was
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? The name of
something
Rick's
Law.
show.
Something
Gun Law, or
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Gun Law. Taylor, if you can look that up, what's called Hard Law or
in the
Bounty Law.
Bounty Law.
Shout out to Dat Boy in the live chat. So Bounty Law. Yes, I like that. That or Fire Crotch Law. One of the two. They both work. But anyway, I mean, that could be one of them. I'll tell you what. I never would have thought of this, but I think it's a brilliant idea.
I did too.
When I think of the way he tells stories, they make great movies. I think that style he has would very well transition into a TV style of series. I think that would be great, especially as like a limited edition or a limited series.
And he could probably put together, like maybe he did do this in secret, because I could imagine like he'd call Sam Jackson and go, "Look, don't tell anybody." And Sam Jackson would not tell anybody.
Look back at his buddy Robert Rodriguez. Didn't Rodriguez like even shoot most of Sin City like in his garage?
Yeah.
Or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's Troublemaker Studios.
Like why couldn't he take a cue from his buddy and maybe have just like literally done something like, hey, I set up like a 5-car garage in my backyard here in Israel. We're going to shoot something all in green screen.
Or he's got a house in the hills too. Just shoot it there. You know, like when wasn't it Joss Whedon who did Much Ado About Nothing?
Yep.
Like shoot it like at his house. You know, and he brought, hey, could you guys come to my house? We're going to shoot this movie, the Shakespeare adaptation. People like, sure.
And didn't Soderbergh shoot that one movie all on an iPhone? Which movie was that?
Oh,
again?
yeah, Unsane.
And that's right.
Actually, he shot Unsane and he shot High Flying Bird on iPhones.
So like maybe he's like literally just was going around shooting a show with his iPhone, and nobody.
He calls up Robbie Richardson. Hey, buddy, can you just come to my house and shoot this for me?
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The idea of Quentin Tarantino now doing an 8-episode limited series for TV? I mean, if the report is right, it's coming out in a few months. That means it's got to be shot. Maybe it's a typo and they meant 2024. But whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move into main topic number 2. Rob, what is our second main topic?
John, our second main topic comes to us from Kylo Kent. Hi, Campea crew. I just read via the New York Times that James Wan and Jason Blum are in advanced talks to merge their 2 production companies into one massive horror film factory. They feel as though they perfectly complement each other's strengths. Wan, the creative mind, with Blum's mind for business. Blum wants to grow Blumhouse Productions exponentially, putting out 8 horror films theatrically a year. Wan has a lot of ideas, more than he can handle by himself. I'm a big fan of most Blumhouse releases. I feel like this could be an amazing thing for these 2 creators. What do you guys think? Is Blumhouse going to become a horror film juggernaut in Hollywood? Thanks, guys, for all you do. And as always, bring on the filthy.
2022 might end up marking the year that horror took a big step up in prominence. Not necessarily the best horror ever made, but in prominence. What did we just talk about this week? Walter Hamada has been brought on by Paramount to kind of oversee their horror stuff. Now, they've fallen short of giving them his own studio, like Marvel has their own studio, like Paramount Dark. But
That's actually
still,
a cool name.
that would kind of work. But didn't Universal try to do their Dark Universe?
Yeah, but
or
can you
whatever?
imagine the Paramount logo, like doing something instead of the stars? It'd be like bats over the mountain, and you'd see like a castle up there, and thunder and lightning and the moon over
And
the
just,
Paramount
instead of in
logo.
the sunlight, it's just a moonlight behind it. Or
I mean,
something like that.
because Silver Pictures had, their own thing, Dark
So-
Castle Entertainment.
Between that and now this word that maybe two of the hottest names in horror right now, James Wan, Jason Blum, combining their forces to make one uber kind of horror studio. This comes to us from the folks over at Deadline who write the following. If the merger goes through, Atomic Monster will benefit from the first look deal with Universal Pictures that Blumhouse is currently under. Now, Atomic Monsters, that's James Wan's production company. They're talking about merging that in with Blumhouse. Is currently under, having come to the conclusion of its own deal with Warner Brothers over the summer. It's expected that the companies would continue to operate as separate labels, with each maintaining its own creative autonomy and brand identity. The alliance is expected to increase the company's combined output, with Atomic Monster being able to utilize Blumhouse's existing infrastructure to scale its activities across film, TV, and new content areas, including games, live experiences, and audio. So for Atomic Monster, this is the question that comes into my mind for this. For Atomic Monster, you're like, okay, we have a limited bandwidth. There's only so much we can do. Blumhouse has this great existing first look deal with Universal Pictures, so we would benefit that way. Blumhouse has spent years developing this great infrastructure to get movies made and all that kind of stuff. They've got the system in place that they can take a movie from concept and get it on screen. There's a lot of advantages here for Atomic Monster. I'm not 100% sure what Blumhouse gets out of this, because right now, I mean, if they continue to act as their own independent labels and they continue to get to make movies autonomously, I see what Atomic Monster's getting out of it. I'm not 100% sure I see what Blumhouse is getting out of it. How do you look at this deal?
Well, I think they're getting James Wan. And if you look at James Wan.
Are they getting James Wan?
Well, they're getting, but maybe, look, he's done the Saw franchise, the Insidious franchise, the Conjuring franchise.
Yep, monstrous
franchises. An argument could be made that James Wan is responsible maybe for the most successful horror string of horror.
There's no argument. That's absolutely
the thing that I
true.
find really interesting is, where have we seen this before? The business guy and the director.
Something's happening over at Warner Brothers, I understand.
And Peter Safran, who is his James Wan's longtime producing partner. We talked about how Atomic Monster lost its deal at Warner Brothers, their housekeeping deal. It's interesting to me that Peter Safran, the producer of the entire Conjuring universe, and his producer on Aquaman and Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom, takes over Warner Brothers, and there's no way to keep James Wan there. Like, I don't know what happened there. I find it really interesting that maybe David Zaslav said, look, we're getting rid of all these housekeeping deals. And so James Wan's like, okay, well, if you're not going to make a commitment to me like I've done, look at how much money I've made for the studio. He talks to his buddy Jason Blum. He's got Universal. And Blumhouse is really interesting because they not only make a bunch of movies that don't go theatrical, that show up on TV and streaming services. And they've kind of got this, we'll make movies for $5 million. And if they're really good, like The Visit, Shyamalan, Shamhammer comes back, they put it out theatrically. But if it's not, they have many different avenues through Universal to put them on various streaming services to make money. So I see as horror specifically as an incubator. I think this is an incredibly interesting, innovative partnership where James Wan, because, he wanted to make The Trench, that horror spinoff
based on Aquaman.
And I'm sure that Warner Brothers is like, no. Well, Jason Blum would be like, why not? I mean, we can't do it because it's Warner Brothers.
Yes.
But you know what I mean? He can come up, now he can take the trench and be like, let's make a movie about monsters at sea. I'll make that. Jason Blum's like, great, I'll do it over here. Let's hire whoever you want. You know, I'll get my buddy Lee Wanell to come in. He's already making movies for me. And that's another thing. Remember, Lee Wanell made Invisible Man for Blumhouse. So I'm sure that they're all hanging out together. And Jason Blum's like, why don't you come over to Universal, buddy? You know, Lee Wanell, they started the Saw franchise together. Now I've got the people that created Saw underneath one roof.
Here's the interesting thing, too. I don't think that James Wan left Warner Brothers. Like, I don't think James Wan and Warner Brothers divorced.
I don't either.
I think this opportunity to merge companies with Blumhouse is probably it. And here's where it gets really interesting. There's actually nothing stopping a future James Wan Atomic Monster movie from going to Warner Brothers. Remember, the deal that Blumhouse has with Universal is a first look deal.
Right.
And Universal's not going to be in the position to take everything that Blumhouse and Atomic Monster are collectively going to be putting out. That means there's going to be a number of projects that James Wan and Jason Blum come up with that are going to be shopped to other studios.
Yeah, so there's your answer then. I didn't even think about this, but there's your answer. So now Jason Blum has a backdoor entry into Warner Brothers.
Yep.
So you go to Saffron. So now they've got two studios bankrolling their projects. So they're sitting high on the hog because Warner Brothers is not going to want to give up their relationship. And remember, James Wan made Fast and Furious 7 for Universal. So you've got these two guys that have deep roots at both studios, and now they've got access to the money from both studios.
So you look at it. Now you have, for Blumhouse, you're getting increased output, and you're raising your quality level overall with James Wan inspired and created projects. If you're Atomic Monster and James Wan, you've got now the ability to put more of your ideas and put more of your projects actually into the production pipeline. And you come and you inherit this Universal first look deal as well. So, I mean, this could be a pretty major thing.
And you think James Wan is a huge horror fan, doesn't want to crack at a Universal monster?
Oh, of course he does.
I mean, I could see James Wan. By the way, I don't know anything about this. James Wan's Creature from the Black Lagoon. I could totally see them. They've been trying to make that movie. They take those ideas for the trench, put it into that,
and then Jason Blum saying, "Okay, James, great, and I'm going to show you how to do it for $15 million." That's the thing, right?
But he doesn't have to because James Wan made the Insidious movies. After that, he goes back and makes Insidious 1 for $1 million.
Yes, that's the point. Like, they're going to be able to create these projects. They're going to be able to create them for budget. That means they're going to be able to make more of these things. It could, like I said, it could be very, very,
very smart. Very smart.
Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The possibilities of the merger of Jason Blum and Blumhouse, Atomic Monster and James Wan coming together to make something more powerful, combining to make a horror Voltron. What do you guys think about this?
Horror Voltron.
Whatever you think, jump down into the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Hey, if that sounds delicious, is getting you hungry, good news. One of our sponsors today is our friends at HelloFresh.
We want to take a moment and thank a sponsor of today's video, HelloFresh. Guys, my wife Ann and I love using HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. When you subscribe to HelloFresh, you can check Save Money off of your fall to-do list. HelloFresh is 25% cheaper than takeout and even less expensive than grocery shopping too. And HelloFresh works with your ever-changing schedule. Plans are flexible and you can choose your meals for the week, update your preferences, or change your delivery day all in the HelloFresh app. Now, you know Ann and I are both working professionals, so when it comes to dinner time, it can be a bit of a challenge. We don't really have time to cook and we don't want to eat out all the time. And that's why HelloFresh comes through so clutch for us. Not only do we get to eat delicious, nutritious food, but Ann and I both have a lot of fun getting to cook together, following the easy-to-follow steps in getting the meals made. So go to HelloFresh.com/Campea65 and use the code Campea65 for 65% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/Campea65 using the code Campea65 for 65% off plus free shipping.
And thank you to our friends at HelloFresh for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's get into main topic number 3 here, shall we? Rob, What is our third main topic today?
John, our third main topic comes to us from Eric Thomas. Hey guys, Lucasfilm's current Disney Plus show, the phenomenal Andor, hasn't even finished, and yet the next one is right around the corner. It's just about 2 weeks until Willow premieres, and yesterday, a couple of people got to see it already and gave their first reactions. And from what I've seen, they seem to be overwhelmingly positive. It's not another Andor, but it's described as a fun family fantasy adventure, just like the original movie was. What do you think about these first reactions?
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Eric. And you know, I got to say, one of the upcoming Disney Plus projects that I have honestly not been all that particularly excited about has been Willow. Now, I like the original Willow movie, but when they said they're going to bring it back to do a series, I'm like, huh, really? Really? And even the first preview for it, I was like, okay, I mean, I love Warwick Davis. I mean, I can watch that guy all the time. I love him.
And his comedic timing is impeccable.
Timing is insanely good.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I didn't hate the idea, but I wasn't really. Now, the last trailer that came out, last month or a month and a half ago, whatever, that was the first time that I looked at it and went, all right, okay, maybe there could be something here. Well, a bunch of people had a chance to watch the first 3 episodes of Willow, and the response has been incredible. Let's bring up my screen here for a second, Jonathan. So the response has been pretty incredible. What's on Disney Plus writes, I've watched the first 3 episodes of the new Willow Disney Plus series. It's one of the best shows we've seen on Disney Plus so far. It's a charming adventure with some interesting characters and is certainly not a show to be overlooked. Willow is a must watch. Lancey Gillerin writes, lucky to see episodes 1 through 3 of Willow, and it's fantastic. It's overwhelmingly charming and funny. John Kasdan set up a thrilling adventure with characters that are real and relatable while honoring the magic of the original. Cannot wait to see what comes next. Rayan writes, I had no expectations going into Willow and ended up absolutely enjoying it. Fun fantasy and adventure with heart and drama. The new characters are all instantly lovable, and the returning cast is as great as ever. Ruby Cruz and Aaron Kellyman easily steal the show. Britt writes, I've been a fan of the original film for as long as I can remember, and I can honestly say that Willow on Disney Plus keeps the same heart and spirit. It's filled with so much fantasy and adventure. It's everything I could have asked for. You won't be disappointed. Final one we'll talk about here is Jordan Mason writes, had the chance to watch the first 3 episodes of Willow, and well, I don't know. I love the characters, and it's clear the actors are all having a blast with genuine chemistry between them all. Dug the humor and the interactions, but the story feels like a fantasy trope, one fantasy trope after another. Ren Geekness writes, with 3 episodes of Willow offers unexpected thematic maturity and character depth to counterbalance the magical whimsy from the original film. The ever-changing Warwick Davis leads a ragtag group of heroes on top of great thrills and fun action. And it goes on. So listen, it's kind of neat because yesterday we were just talking about first reactions out of another project that were not so good, which was, I mean, some of them were good, but very, very mixed reactions coming out of Babylon. So that was a little bit concerning. And I've been very curious to see what the first reactions were going to be coming out of Willow, particularly since I haven't been that interested in it, but I did think the last trailer was good. Some recurring words here: fun, adventure, heart. I mean, it seems like a lot of people, and it sounds like a number of them too, when I read a little bit more from them, were kind of in the same boat as me, going into it with like, I don't know that I have any expectations here, but everybody seems to be enjoying it quite a lot. Rob, where has your excitement level, lack thereof, of Willow been going into this, and what do you think about the reactions we're hearing?
Well, first of all, I'm just incredulous that they even made this show. Like, wow. I mean, they're looking at Lucasfilm product that they can remake or something, and Willow came up. People have heard me say, Willow was a fine fantasy film that had some fun performances. To me, it was always Lord of the Rings fantasy light. It suffered from 80s fantasy trope sickness, where they couldn't adapt Lord of the Rings, so they just strip mined things that they took from all the different fantasy books and put it into Willow. It was fine. It was well made. It was just the kind of movie you'd think Ron Howard would make at that point in his career. It's fine. Didn't care about this, which I think is probably its greatest strength, because there has not been Lucasfilm's Willow celebration, the official Willow fan club, all those vintage Willow action figures people are buying. Willow doesn't have that problem. So there's not all these people expecting their lives to be changed by a Willow series. I think that the great strength that this show has is all it can do is surprise people and be like, oh, that was pretty good. Because people don't go into it with these, I'm expecting the battle of, Pelennor Fields every episode. So I think what's interesting about this show, I think it's true for me too. I like Warwick Davis, and I'll tell you why I was pulling for this show in particular. He did a video. It was like out in a field where the cast was sitting at picnic tables, like during lunch.
I remember this. Yes.
And he just went in and kind of was interviewing the cast, and they were all kind of bagging on him, and it was just really hilarious. And I'm like, you know what? This video makes me, I like these people. I like that Warwick Davis made this. He's not coming out going, let me tell you what it means to have this Willow show on the air. He was being funny about it. I think for that reason alone, they've probably imbued this show with the kind of fun, whimsical sensibility that we want.
Let me ask you this. Over or under 12%? Over or under 12% that we get a Val Kilmer, Mad Mardigan cameo?
Over.
Really?
Over 12%.
You sound very, very
over.
confident
And you
about
know
that,
what? You know what? He's going to have long gray hair and a beard. And even if he can't say anything, maybe they'll have his son dub his voice or something like the Val documentary. 100%. 100%. And I don't know if the woman who plays Queen Bavmorda, she's got to come back. Joanne Whaley has to come back, although maybe Joanne Whaley and Val Kilmer won't because they were married. Who knows?
Right. Yeah, that's pretty
But
nasty.
absolute. Mad Mardigan, 100%. I'll give you 100%.
Wow.
100%.
It's a guarantee.
Guaranteed Mad Mardigan. You can't not have a character named Mad Mardigan, which is such a great name, not in the Willow show.
Unless they start off saying, after the death of Mad Mardigan.
Well, then there you go.
They could do that. I mean,
Then they would show him. They'll show him like a flashback to his kingly, he'll have the beard, and then they'll show him pass away. But he's absolutely 100% going to appear in the show.
After seeing the emotional response that the Iceman appearance got.
Come on.
Like, even if they didn't shoot it, they had to go back and shoot it.
And figure out a way like,
right?
yeah, there's no way. He's in it 100%.
All right,
Also,
guys.
I was going to say real quick, I thought I recognized the woman with the red hair here. She's from Falcon and Winter
Yeah, she's
Soldier.
from
Oh, yeah,
Falcon Winter Soldier.
she's from Solo. She's from Falcon and the Winter
Right,
Soldier. Yep. So, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The reactions coming out of Willow are a lot higher than I was expecting. I've got to admit, between the last trailer and these reactions, hey, I was just saying on the show the other day, we don't get a lot of pure adventure anymore. Like, we really don't. And if this can be that, more power to it.
The only thing that I would ask other than Val Kilmer is one of the things I loved about Willow was the theme.
Oh, yeah.
The musical theme. I hope they keep that. I hope they retain it because it's a great theme.
All right, guys, how are you feeling about this? Where are your expectations for Willow? Whatever they are, jump down to the comment section below and leave us your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, let's move into main topic number 4, shall we? And this one's really more of an off the top, so there's no email question for this, but this was kind of big, so we decided to leave it as our last topic for today, and that is this. Now, look, whatever you think about them, there is absolutely no denying that one of the biggest box office juggernauts out there is the Fast and the Furious franchise. At least once Dwayne Johnson showed up, the box office for these movies just started to explode. Hell, a couple of these movies joined the $1 billion club. And you know what? After the 4th one, I actually got really into this. I wasn't a big fan of Fast and Furious 1, 2, or 3. But
what?
Yeah, not a fan of
Drift?
One. Yeah.
Come on, Matt. With the lovely Nikki Griffin?
Yeah, no.
I thought 1 was bad until I saw 2.
Until I
saw
thought
Drift.
2. Then a new definition of bad emerged.
Drift, baby.
I am not a fan of series, but then I saw 4 almost out of spite, and I went, you know what? That wasn't bad. And then 5 came out. I'm like, this is great. And then I loved 6, and then I liked 7, and I liked 8. And then 9 happened, which was a steaming pile of garbage.
Dude.
I didn't like 9 at all. And it pains me to say that because you know me, I love me some Vin Diesel. I love
I
Vin
know.
Diesel. So I really liked like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Anyway, now we've got 10 coming out. And, it's had its share of drama. We saw, the addition of a couple of really big name stars, Brie Larson, Jason Momoa coming in there as well. Also, wasn't there a wrestler as well?
John Cena.
John Cena.
John Cena. Well, he was already in it from the last one. I might be forgetting.
Oh,
something.
yeah, there's another.
I can't remember. Anyway, so there's that. Then the big drama of the director leaving.
Yeah, Justin Lin, who directed he came on the franchise with The Drift. So he directed 3, 4, 5, and 6, and he comes back to do 9.
And he starts doing 10 and then leaves after they started production.
And that video that Vin posted, remember, with him, and he's like, "Is this the best one?" And he's like, "Yes, yeah,
Sure,
it's the best
sure,
one." I
Vin.
was like,
Yeah, it's the
"Ooh."
best one. So obviously there was tension between them, whatever. So he's gone. They bring in, it wasn't Len Wiseman. Who was it they brought in? It's my director on the Hulk movie.
Yeah, it's Louis Leterrier.
Leterrier, that's right. They brought in Louis Leterrier. So we heard that costs were starting to blow up. We didn't know it was blowing up this much because according to reports coming out now, the budget for Fast 10 is $340 million.
It's a lot of bread.
$340 million. Now, to put this into a little bit of context, let's go over to my screen here. That would make it the 4th most expensive film in cinematic history. On paper.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. I bet it is even higher than what they're reporting.
It might end up being even more because they didn't say it's done. It's ballooning. It continues to go up because we see, of course, the most expensive film of all time was Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides at $379 million. Avengers Age of Ultron was $365 million. Avengers Endgame was $356 million. Avengers Infinity War, it says $325 here. I believe it was more like $316. So basically, this Fast and the Furious movie is going to be almost and probably will end up being more expensive than Avengers Endgame. Now, if we go back over and we start looking at the things, there's a couple reasons why. The budget for Fast 10, the 10th film of the Universal's lucrative Fast and the Furious action franchise, has ballooned to $340 million, according to individuals with knowledge of the production. That is 70% more than the reported $200, which is already astronomically expensive. The reported $200 million budget for 2021's Fast 9, the Fast Saga, and easily the most expensive entry in any action series that has generated $6.6 billion worldwide in ticket sales. The surging price tag, which factors in tax incentives offsets, can be blamed on numerous budget-busting elements. Increased salaries for the series star Vin Diesel and the rest of the franchise ensemble, cast general increase in production costs caused by global inflation, and the charges due to the pandemic, testing requirements mandated by COVID-19, all that adds to it. These are nickel and dimes. I have a feeling that these last two films, first of all, Universal absolutely needs them. They need these films to be made, of course. Right? And so let's be honest here. Vin Diesel in this situation knew he had all the power. Of course he did. And he knew it. He's smart enough to know that he did. And he could probably get whatever he asked for to make these last two films. And Rob, you talk about it all the time, whether it's in television or in movies. As the series, whether it's TV or movies, progresses, the actors' salaries and demands get exponentially bigger. They're not looking for 10% raises. They're not looking for 15% raises. They're looking for 50, 60, 70, 100, 200% raises as it goes. And Big Daddy Vin gets to play Santa Claus to all of his friends and go, you get 20 million for this movie and you get 20 million for this movie. Now, I don't know if that's a fact. But there's absolutely no doubt that one of the biggest factors here is the money that the actors are getting to take home. And of course, this is good. They're going to probably want to put a lot into it. They're going to try to one-up themselves from previous things. No doubt. But man, Taylor, maybe you can look this up, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think Fast 9 made under $800 million, which is still a fantastic box office result. But it's not a box office result for a movie that you want to cost $340. Because at $340, I'm going to guarantee you, they're going to spend $120 in marketing on this.
At least.
Minimum, $120. What do we got for the box?
So the Fast 9 worldwide box office is $726 million.
Okay, so didn't even get to mid $700 million. So just a little over $700 million. If this movie comes in with a collective, with marketing, you're looking at $460 million, you are talking about a movie that's going to need $800 million, $900 million to break even, probably in the $8 to $850 million range to break even. I've never conceived of that for something like a Fast and Furious movie. So you're talking about a baseline that is higher than the entire worldwide collective that your last movie made. Now, we keep in mind that Fast 9 still came out in what we consider to be the pandemic era.
Sure, but
right?
it still was shitty.
It was crappy. No, it was a piece of garbage. I hated that movie. It was absolutely
and
awful.
you know me, I have such great love for this franchise.
Yeah.
But even I was sitting there. Everything I loved about this franchise, you could tell with this race through the jungle with these mines going off.
Oh, yeah, right away.
I'm
It's like this
I'm
is
out.
yeah, this is
I'm out.
awful.
And there wasn't one, and this is so silly to say for this franchise, but there was no shred of verisimilitude in Fast 9. And the whole point of car race, car chase, whatever, is that we've all sat in cars before. All of us, the entire audience. So when you have a car chase through a city, the more realistic it is, the better off you are. That's why Fast 5 was so great. From the train heist at the beginning, it didn't look like everything was CG assisted, even though it was. But dragging the safe through the city,
streets,
like those cars could never drag a safe that heavy. But that was your one ask, and you bought off. And when that thing was smashing around, you believe, man. Fast 5 was great because you believe. Fast 9 was not great because I believed nothing. Nothing, not one thing.
Yeah, we talked about that, right?
Samson pulling down the
don't
dude, none of that movie, and that ruined everything. A Fiero going into space, get the hell out.
But it had duct tape, Rob.
Dude.
It had duct tape.
Terrible.
The moment for me.
Have you ever seen Explorers?
because you're right. In the other Fantastic Four, in the other Fast and Furious movies, of course they did the utterly preposterous.
Sure,
but there was always that 1% in there. It's like, well, maybe there's a way that none of that was in Fast 9.
None.
And again, to me, you say it was the racing through the jungle. I was like kind of going, oh my God, this needs to pick up. The moment for me where I knew this movie was beyond redemption. And again, I say this as an unabashed lover of Vin Diesel. I love Vin Diesel. I love this guy. But when Dom pulled the Samson,
bro,
and literally with his own Dom family-infused bare hands, literally pulled the roof down on all these 40 and 50 guys, I'm like, this movie's beyond hope.
It sounds great, actually.
This sounds awesome.
Watch it today.
It's too bad because
it's his fast minute.
I thought in Fast 8 when there's a nuclear-tipped torpedo skittering across the ice, I thought we had reached the nadir of the franchise. But no, Fast 9, nothing about it. I didn't like anything. There wasn't one thing. There wasn't one action sequence. There was nothing in Fast 9 that I liked.
Because I remember me, and our buddy Cliff, and our buddy Cliff is going to be on the show next week, by the way. He's going to come in again. But you, me, and Cliff, we went to go see it. You, me, Cliff, and Ann. We all went to go see it. We went to see an early screening of it like 2 months before it came out. And we were we went to lunch first. We were positively giddy.
We were giddy.
We couldn't wait to watch
wait.
We were so excited.
My God, did I want to see this movie.
And now $340 million. Rob, let me ask you this. What could they possibly be doing that is taking an already insanely expensive film in Fast 9 at $200 million and bringing it to $340 million, and that's probably not even the end of it. What you've made these films, not these films. What's this taking it to that?
I think one, the change in director had to hurt. That had to be retooling. But I think the obvious thing, it's not just COVID compliance. It's they're taking too long. They're taking too long to shoot these action scenes or whatever. And if we know why. Look, if Vin Diesel was coming out of his trailer whenever he wanted to come out of his trailer and slowing down, that could be a big factor.
And we did hear that was one of the big reasons the director left.
And which to me is it saddens me because he's a producer on these movies. And here's a pro tip, kids. If you end up working for a studio, what you want to do is spend their money effectively so their movie's profitable, so they hire you again. I mean, that's what you want to do. If you want to have a career with longevity, I get it. The Jimmy Fallon, Almost Famous, get what you can, when you can, while you can. I get that. But with these movies, you really do have a fiscal responsibility, I think. But I think that they probably are throwing money at this to make it bigger and badder and whatever. They want it to be the biggest Fast movie in history. Maybe they got like Hugo. They brought Hugo back from the end of Moonraker, and now there's a space station that they have, and the space station has cars in it, and it can like deposit cars with orbital parachutes to land.
None of that is even unbelievable that they'll do this.
I know.
You know that the government has given Dominus Crew their own Justice League space station where there's something going on in the old Czech Republic. Quick, and they get in one of the cars and they literally drive it out of the space station and it falls to Earth like that Red Bull guy who did the sky jump from
they
outer
probably
space.
call it the Hall of Family. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Family, Dominus Crew wait while
Well, the treacherous forces of the Legion of Doom.
Well, Helen Mirren and Cypher and all just like, meanwhile.
Don't pretend like you don't love it.
Can we cut the shit?
This is the best. What are you talking about?
I mean, I think back to what George Miller did in Mad Max Fury Road. Like, those were computer-assisted scenes, but those chase sequences give me Furiosa. I'm excited for Furiosa. After Fury Road, which was bonkers good, I want to see Furiosa because George Miller understands the power of what real cars doing real stunts can provide to an audience. But Fast 9 took that all away and gave us computer-generated
Raised on the Hall of Family.
gobbledygook. Yeah.
Okay.
The Hall of Family.
All right, but knowing how people responded, because by the way, there were people who really loved Fast 9.
I know.
That's the beautiful thing about the art.
Not
man.
enough. That's why it only made 729.
Yeah.
I know it's pandemic era.
But can the 10th one? Because they've had a couple of films join that $1 billion club.
Yeah.
Can the 10th one do it again?
I think 7 did like 1.5 billion. Something like that.
Can or have they lost enough of people at this point? Like, what do you think?
This
Ray?
is part 1 of 2, right?
Yes.
This is supposed to
It's
be
like
the
a
second to the last one.
But I don't know if it's part 1 of 2. I think it's still 10 and 11. I don't
So
know if
11's
it's-
the last one.
Yeah, the 11 will be.
I
it's
guarantee
not
11
called-
will make it. 11 will make it if it's the
Think so?
last one. Yeah.
Maybe
but
they'll
this
call
one, I don't know.
Fast and the Furious 10 Dead Reckoning Part 1.
I mean, who knows? All right, guys.
Rob's just gone insane.
Question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently, like, budget? Blah, budget smudget. They're spending apparently $340 million at least, apparently, on Fast 10. Why do you think it's gone from like almost double from Fast 9? Do you think this thing can break even? Do you think this new movie can join the $1 billion club? Hey, maybe you're the opposite of us. Maybe you watched Fast 9. You had a great time with it. Awesome if you did. But whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Hall of Family. I love that. All right.
Meanwhile.
Guys, it is now time for us to open up the super chats and to hear from you. If you guys have a thought, theory, question, or opinion that you'd like me and Rob to address here on the show, go ahead and use the super chat feature now and you can send those in. We only leave the super chats open for just a couple of minutes, so get your thoughts in there quickly. Now, before we get to those, we're going to take a second and thank the main sponsor of our show, my cell phone service provider, Ryan Reynolds' Mint Mobile.
Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. This holiday season, the best deal in wireless can only be found at Mint Mobile. Right now, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you'll get another 3 months free. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order and activate from home with eSIM while saving tons on phone plans starting at just $15 a month. Guys, you know I've been using Mint Mobile long before this holiday deal, and I have to say, it is the perfect time to switch. Since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've been spending 1/3 of what I used to spend on my mobile service with the other big name company. And with this buy 3 months, get 3 months free, not only is it a great choice for you, but it makes great gifts for the people you love. Mint Mobile's best offer of the year is here. By going online only and with eSIM and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes those significant savings on to you. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily and effortlessly with eSIM. Or if you need a new device, for a limited time, get 6 months of free service when you buy a selected device and plan. So guys, for a limited time, buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months free by going to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea.
And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for giving me a mobile service that has me paying less than a third of what I used to pay for my cell phone service, and of course for being sponsors of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to your guys' thoughts and questions in our super chat area there. Rob, what do we got up here?
Well, KC Max sends in a super chat and says, "Hey, John and crew. Recently, I remember you guys talking about a sequel coming out that many thought wouldn't ever get a sequel. Well, guess what's in Netflix top 10 today? R.I.P.D. 2, Rise of the Damned."
I remember when we did this story a while ago that, wait, what? They made an R.I.P.D. 2 and it's already done and it's coming out. I probably personally think Ryan Reynolds' worst movie is R.I.P.D. Probably Jeff Bridges' worst movie. Also,
Ripped 2.
Neither of them are in this movie.
No.
But yeah, I could not believe it because when we first heard about it, it was already done. It was made. And we had no idea they were even making it. Because I remember we were covering the story that in secret they made R.I.P.D. 2. And I guess, name recognition, but listen, I guarantee you, a lot of people on Netflix see that and they're thinking Jeff Bridges and Ryan Reynolds are going to be in there.
Right.
And
then it's from the Hellboy universe.
And they're going to find out, they're going to get disappointed.
Yeah.
But there it is. All right,
good.
what's next?
Also support here.
Mark24 Gaming sends in a super chat.
Thank you,
Thanks,
man.
Mark24 Gaming. Matt Mobile says, "People say, why would people hate mutants and not other superheroes? But it's about racism, right? That's what it's been about. Separating them from others just because they're different. Am I crazy?"
But again, Matt, how is that any different between a mutant and somebody else with some other kind of superpower? Like that's the thing. It's like, okay, you walk into a bar. Sounds like the start of a bad joke. You see one guy who looks like he's got porcupine quills. You see another guy who's 8 feet tall and blue. You see another guy who's 1.5 feet tall and looks like a koala bear, but has a human face. You walk into you see sitting on another stool, this woman sitting there, but she's got like barbed wire arms and whatever. Like, and 2 of them are mutants and 2 of them got their abilities different ways. How would you know? Like what? That's the part. And by the way, this is not just a problem with the potential movies. This has always been a question I've asked myself, even as a huge X-Men fan. Growing up, it's like, so like, how would the average person even know? Like with our built-in, as a human race, one of our defaults is racism, right? With our built-in racism that we see, like, I get it. People get afraid of things that are different from them and all that. I get that. But again, in this world, we have a bunch of heroes that look like they very well could be mutants, but they just happen to become different a different way. I don't know. It's always been one that hasn't sat well with me.
Well, I mean, but they do say that literally that mutants themselves are they're Homo superior compared to Homo sapiens. So we're Homo sapiens, and they are potentially replacing. Eventually, mutants will replace normal human beings. So the hatred or the fear of mutants comes from, are we going to be replaced? You know, are non-powered creatures going to be replaced by these superior? That's what Magneto's all about. Like, these people are genetically inferior.
Well, the future, Charles, not them.
Not them. That's exactly right. Which I like that idea, you know, in terms of where that hatred comes from. But yeah, like the difference between a superpowered being, I want to point out, John, if I went into that bar you went into, I would now look for the fire girl. Just saying.
Especially if she's stepping off a subway.
You know, I'm looking for fire girl.
All right, what's next?
Ben Rayner says 2 guys.
Oh, by the way, Ben sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben. Ben says 2 guys doing one job. We got to do something about that. Joe Benate, The Office episode, manager and salesman. She would not be happy with DC, Gunn, and Saffron sharing the CEO job.
So
I have not got to this episode.
Okay, so in the Office, in a latter season, Misery star
Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates comes in as the new owner of Dunder Mifflin, and I think at that point, Michael Scott and Jim were co-managers at that point. She was like, "Wow, 2 people doing one job." Yeah, I mean, it is unusual, but not completely unheard of to have co-CEOs or co-chairman. It's not, I mean, it's a little unusual, but not completely different. But it's what makes this one at Warner Brothers really great is that you have 2 fundamentally different guys with different skill sets. right? It's not like they named James Gunn and Taika Waititi
Right.
as the co-CEOs. You got James Gunn, clearly the creative. Peter Safran, clearly from the production end as a producer. And I think that's going to make this work.
Imagine that DC. James Gunn and
Taika Waititi running
the funniest DC universe.
every movie is like that would be
Welcome.
completely bonkers.
It'd be like Johnny Carson, some wacky stuff. For those of you who know who Johnny Carson
Only
is.
like a third of our audience got that reference,
like,
but I
"What?
liked it. I liked it.
Although you can watch a lot of great Johnny Carson clips on YouTube, so you can check it out.
You can. All right, what's next?
A lot of great comedians got their start there. My Comic Planet says, John, I really enjoyed your segment yesterday on the new shows, movies coming out this week. It helps me stay up on new content. Do you plan to do this more often?
Yeah, we've been doing that for a couple weeks now. So on Mondays, we've been doing Rewind, looking back at the movies turning 10 and 20. On Tuesdays, we do Top 5 Tuesdays, where we take a subject that's in the news that day and we do a top 5 based on it. And Wednesdays is what's streaming this week? What's streaming next? And I really like that as well. And I'm glad so many of you guys have been mentioning to us that you're finding it useful. So yes, that will be an ongoing Wednesday segment that we do.
But the question needs to be asked. Can we talk about Friday?
What's Friday?
The Morbius Minute?
Oh, that's not
that-
happening this Friday.
Not this Friday. Okay,
No.
we're going to do it?
Morbius Minute is coming, but it's not coming this Friday, and it's not coming next Friday because of the holiday.
Because I want to watch the Morbius Minute.
The world is waiting for the Morbius Minute on
can't
Friday.
wait.
So, but it's going to
Okay.
come in a couple of weeks.
Can't wait.
All right, what's next?
Jay King sends in a super chat and says, did any of you guys watch Tar? I thought that's the new film
Kate
with Kate
Blanchett, yep.
I thought it was excellent. I thought Blanchett gave her best performance to date, which is saying something.
No, I was supposed to watch it a couple nights ago. Something came up family related, couldn't do that. I was going to sit down and watch it tonight, but I am seeing both She Said and The Menu today.
Right.
So I'm seeing both of those. So I'm thinking tomorrow I'm going to watch Tar.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. And Todd Field, it's his first movie since he made Little Children in like 2006.
Is that
Yeah.
based on a real person?
No.
Tar? Okay.
All right, what's next?
Wayne Edwards sends in a $20 super
Thank
chat.
you, Wayne.
This is for Rob. What quote is this movie from? There are old pilots and there are bold pilots, but there are very few old, bold pilots. Well, I would say my first question my first answer would be The Right Stuff, but I don't think it is The Right Stuff.
I'm positive I'm wrong, but I'm thinking Space Cowboys.
That could be
But but probably I can see James
know what?
Garner saying
because it's not The Right Stuff.
We should make this into a game that no one wins ever.
The old pilot
that. Everybody
quotes.
watch that saying it's the black hole.
could be The Black Hole.
I don't remember the line. From
You
the
know
Black
what?
Hole.
I think it is The Black Hole.
I haven't
but-
seen that movie since I was like
yeah,
10.
that's not one I know backwards, but that probably sounds like something old Bob would say.
All right, what's next?
I'm sorry I let you down.
It's okay.
Thanks for the super chat though, Wayne. Fanjecture says over under 61%. Over or under 61% drop for Wakanda Forever.
I'm going to say over because now remember, normally speaking, you don't want to have it's not great when your movie has over a 60% drop. But the bigger your movie remember Spider-Man No Way Home had a 70% drop from week 1 to week 2, right? But that's because everybody saw it the first week. So it's a little bit more normal to see a larger second week drop off for these movies that have insanely huge opening. It doesn't always happen. So the last I saw, they're projecting Black Panther, Wakanda Forever to make about 70 million this coming weekend. That's the projections, which would make it about a 61, 62, 63% drop.
I still haven't seen it. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. So I'm going to probably go this weekend.
So it's going to be, I think, a little bit, but here's the thing. That means its second weekend is going to be bigger than Black Adam's first weekend. So incredible success, but I think it will be barely, I think it'll be over 61% drop. Just barely though. But it's still a very, very good result because of how big the opening weekend
Yeah,
was.
I think you're right.
All right, what's next?
Chef Rigo
Chef Rigo.
says, I saw Buried last night and the ending messed me up.
If you're talking about the Ryan Reynolds,
Yeah.
I'm telling you what, I stand by this, and I know he gives a lot of money to this show, but still, fuck Ryan Reynolds. His movie Buried, he should have gotten an Oscar nomination for it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and I've said that.
Well, he
I've been
carries
saying
that whole
for
movie.
years and years and years and years. Like before, like Mint Mobile became a sponsor of our show. Years and years, I've been saying he absolutely should have been nominated. Like when you have nothing to carry the movie other than the dialogue and your performance. For those of you who don't know, this movie Buried is a movie that I'm not saying 90% of it. I'm not saying 95% of it. 100% of this movie takes place in a box. The whole movie takes place in a box that Ryan Reynolds' character wakes up. The movie starts with him waking up buried in a
nightmare.
box. And then he's got a cell phone, and that's it. The cell phone is the only source of light in the entire movie. The only thing in this movie is him and his performance. And I am telling you, he should have been nominated for an Academy Award. I'm actually pretty shocked that he didn't. I have to look back to see who he was up against, and it's riveting and it's powerful and it's like, whoa, it's a great movie. You should check it out if you haven't seen it.
What's the movie where he's telling like his daughter about all his old loves?
Definitely Maybe.
That should have won an Academy Award.
That might be one of his best movies.
Definitely Maybe rules. I
It's
don't
a
care what
wonderful.
anybody says.
Look at his supporting cast. I don't know anybody that dislikes that movie. That
I
movie's
love
fantastic.
that movie.
Yeah, me too.
I love it.
All right,
you go,
what's
Ryan
next?
Reynolds. I will never say fuck you, Ryan Reynolds, on the show. I promise.
Have to like with all the Ryan Reynolds fanboying I do.
It's
I got to
true.
throw that in there once in a while
It's
just to
true.
balance it out.
It's true.
All right, what's next?
Tyler Pfeiffer says, have you all seen the Enola Holmes movies? Both are absolutely, if you could scooch it up, I could see. Both are other way.
Other way.
Oh, that way.
Absolutely delightful. I haven't seen the second one. I liked the first one. I liked it.
I thought the first one was okay.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think, you know what, I will say this though, there was definitely a lot of potential in it. And there were some interesting things. I really like Millie Bobby Brown. I think
do
she's
too.
going to turn into a powerhouse performer. And obviously I love Henry Cavill. I didn't love the first one, so I haven't bothered watching the second one yet. Apparently there's some talk and whispers about Henry Cavill's Sherlock getting his own spinoff, but I think he's shooting those rumors down right now. But I thought the first one was okay, but I haven't watched the second.
I haven't watched it either.
Any of you guys watched the second Enola Holmes yet?
No, I've seen the trailers. It's just like kind of like really snarky and like breaks the third wall and whatever, or fourth wall. I mean,
Yeah, they did that in the first
and-
one.
Yeah, and I don't know. It just didn't catch me.
All right, what's next?
Carlos Lima says, hey, campers. Are we campers? Is that our name?
I've heard some people refer
Are
to
we,
us.
hey,
yeah.
campers. I like that. I'm glad to hear that Escape from New York is getting a sequel. But the real question is, where's my Big Trouble in Little China sequel? Stay safe. Dude, they've been trying to remake that movie with Dwayne Johnson as Jack Burton.
Yeah, I think that they finally put that to bed
Yeah.
about a year and a half ago. But I think there was literally about 5 years they were trying to get Dwayne Johnson and listen, when you look at the character, if you're going to reboot it, that's a great guy to reboot it around.
Oh, yeah.
He's almost perfect for that. But a lot of people were like Chris Carr for why. And I
Because
think it
Big
died.
Trouble in Little China rules.
But it ruled for what it was. Can you reboot it? Can that be rebooted? Can that
No,
particular...
you gotta have a story you have to have a Little Trouble in Big China.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Movie would be great. Al Renshaw says, if Fast 10 underperforms, could the studio push to bring back Dwayne Johnson?
You can push. Listen, I absolutely 100% guarantee you they've been pushing like Atlas.
Maybe the reason the movie's so expensive is that's what they had to pay him to come back to be in the movie.
Yeah, it was $200 million. We had to give Dwayne Johnson $160 million.
Just to put up with it.
I mean, yeah, no, but I 100% guarantee you, Vin Diesel publicly tried to get Dwayne back. I guarantee you behind the scenes, the studios pleaded with Dwayne to come back. Listen, look, people are people, right? We have, all of us, we have people we work well with or can function well with. We have people that we don't work well with and don't function well with. And if Vin and Dwayne are just two guys that, listen, if you're Dwayne Johnson, you can do anything you want to do. And you're going to ask yourself, do I want to spend 3 months working closely with somebody I don't get along with and doesn't get along well with me? I'm not blaming either side here. But do I want to spend 3 months of my life doing that?
No.
Or do I want to work on another movie that maybe working with people that I do have a lot of fun with? You're probably going to say no. So in asking, could Universal really push to get him back? I guarantee you they already did. And he said no. So no, I don't expect to see him back. I mean, listen, that's the other great thing about people, right? We change. For all we know, 6 months from now, a year from now, you might see some big public display of love between Vin and Dwayne Johnson.
Like the end of Rocky IV.
Yeah.
You changed, and I changed.
If I can change.
Or they're
you
on the
can
next
change.
WrestleMania card.
Or, it'll be Vin versus The Rock at WrestleMania.
Or celebrity boxing.
So, I mean, who knows? But I don't think we're going to see him back. Yeah. But it would be great if he did. All right, what's next?
Casey Mack sends in a super chat and says, "Hey, crew. Well, it's been a few weeks now, and I just want to know if you've all seen Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, and what are your thoughts?" I've seen about half of them now.
I saw like one episode of it.
What's that on?
It's on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
I think they're really good. I don't think they're great.
I haven't heard a lot of feedback. Like, I watched the one episode, and I'll be honest with you, I say this as a big Guillermo del Toro guy. I didn't love it. Now, granted, that was only one. That was just one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is they're good, but there's not enough highs and lows. I think, but they're beautifully made, and I enjoy them. You know, I think they have a problem with a lot of anthology shows, is that everyone's kind of rightly or wrongly expecting sort of a Twilight Zone twist at the end, or a Tales from the Crypt twist, and there isn't necessarily a twist per se. It's just a horror story, but I think they're really beautifully done. I'm gonna have
to sit down. And
I hope they
get
get a
the rest
season
of them.
2.
All right, what's next?
Wayne Denny says, "Is the combined budget for MI7 and 8 less than $340 million? Because I'm sure those movies will be 10 times better than Fast 10. I would imagine no. I would imagine both Mission Impossible 7 and 8 have a bigger budget than $340 million. But if you were to say combined,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I
probably
think they're
probably talking about 4 to 420.
Yes, I would say, and worth it. I mean, but who knows?
Yeah. This is a series that, like Fast and Furious, is a proven moneymaker. People enjoy them. And coming off of Top Gun, I mean, they're going to let Tom Cruise do whatever he wants.
And also, we've heard that the Mission Impossible 7 was incredibly expensive to make because of all the COVID protocols.
Yeah.
They had a lot of problems. We heard Tom Cruise bitching. You know, he even rented out like a giant ferry or a cruise ship
to keep all this cast and crew isolated.
Yeah. I mean, so it probably costs more money but still, I'm sure that there's nobody waiting around in their trailers.
All right, what's next?
Al Renshaw says, if Smith gets nominated, could Smith be the next Tom Hanks and win back the Oscars? Emancipation looks good.
Emancipation looks great. And let's look, this is the people factor of this. I don't believe he's going to get nominated. I don't think the Academy is going to nominate him.
No.
Now, it's important to understand. Some of you might be saying, well, Johnny Campea, he's banned for 10 years. No, he's banned from attending. Mm-hmm. He's not banned from being nominated. And so even if he got a nomination, which maybe they do that, maybe the actors branch of the Academy gives him a nomination, I almost feel like regardless of how well he does, I don't know that he'll get it. But who knows? Maybe they do. I mean, I don't know. But if he does, it will mark the first time since Tom Hanks did it a lot of years ago when he won Philadelphia and Forrest Gump back to back. It would be the first guy to do it since then. So I don't know. But he's going to have a lot of competition.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of competition. But yeah. I just think that the Oscars will nominate Will Smith during the 10 years that he's banned. I don't know if it'll be this year, though. I don't know. I got to see the movie.
After just seeing the clip, though, I think that Anton Fuqua is definitely in the running for Best Director nomination.
No doubt. No doubt about that.
Absolutely.
All right, what's next?
Matt Mobile says, best Ray quote. I don't care about girls pumping the lemonade. Just give me my hot dog.
What was that from? When was that?
He said that the other day on the show.
I think that was on Friday.
When he was talking
Care about
about
girls pumping lemonade.
we were talking about going to get hot dogs at the mall.
Yeah.
Well, someone said a super chat and said,
Oh, it's an open mic.
would Ray actually only go to the mall for a corn dog?
Does
And
he
was
actually
like,
go to
"Yeah."
the mall to go to get hot dog on a stick? And I was like, where else are they?
Yeah, where else are you going to
Yeah.
get your hot dog on a stick?
Yeah, and then like I said, you don't need to have the girls pumping the lemonade. It tastes the same.
Right. And I was like,
It
nobody
doesn't
even
matter.
mentioned that, right? No one
Yeah.
mentioned that.
No one mentioned that, but I know what they're getting at.
All right, what's next?
Okay.
Dildar says, sorry for the confusion yesterday. There was another Christmas story with Daniel Stern as his dad. There was apparently a direct-to-video sequel to A Christmas Story called A Christmas Story 2, where Daniel Stern was the father.
I have no recollection of that.
I don't either. None.
I mean, I don't doubt them. I'm just saying,
I never saw it.
wow, okay. Had
Yeah.
no idea about that.
That's why we're confused.
Learn something new every day. Thanks for letting us know, man. All right, what's next?
Matt Boyle says, do you guys think Mystery Alaska is a better hockey movie than The Mighty Ducks?
That's not even a question.
Yeah, it is.
It's a million times better.
I
I
think
love
so too.
Mystery Alaska.
Mystery Alaska is it's forget even as a hockey movie. It's a great movie.
It is a great movie.
If you guys haven't watched, this is Russell Crowe. It is, and as a hockey fan, obviously very special. Mike Myers does a great appearance in it as well. Mystery Alaska is charming. It's heartwarming. It's funny. It's a fabulous, fabulous movie. Yes, it is easily better than Mighty Ducks. And no disrespect intended to Mighty Ducks.
No, disrespect intended.
Okay, so Ray's got his axe to grind with them Ducks.
That's how you do a movie, hockey
He's
movie.
all fired up. He's going to go get a corn dog.
You know, I watched
I
that
need a
movie
break.
blindly. Like, I was working at a video store at the time, and they made us watch all the new releases because they sent them a week before they were supposed to release, so all the employees would take them home to watch it. And I said, Mr. Alaska, what is this about? And I
Yep.
loved the movie. It was great.
It's absolutely wonderful. You guys have
Great
to watch
movie.
it. Go watch Mr. You know what? When we do eventually get our Why It's Awesome segment going, I think that's gonna be the first movie we do is Mystery
It's
Alaska.
a good one.
All right, what's next?
Gabriel Roca says, can you tell my little sister Isabel to watch the show? Ha ha ha. She gets annoyed that this is all I watch every day.
Well, Gabriel, you know, little sisters are like cats. They're useless.
Oh.
Hello, Heather and Sandy. I have two little sisters.
That is not true because Isabel is going to grow up and her friends are going to come over. And you never know. Did
What? What are you even
My
talking
little
about?
sister she was a sophomore and I was a senior. And let me tell you, how do you think I met
Is
the
your
sophomore
sister's
girls?
friends? Was that your dating pool? Was that your Tinder?
Just saying.
Isabel, please
Little
watch.
sisters are
They're
not
not that bad.
They are to be cherished, John. Later in life, and by the way, they're not in high school. They get to be in college, and then they get to be in their 20s.
Is this another they'll get older moment for you?
Let's plea with Isabel to watch.
I'm just
Isabel, watch
saying.
the show.
Yeah,
Just
if you like
saying,
movies
little
and stuff.
sisters have friends that even when you're middle aged,
Oh
Just
my
mute
God.
They have middle-aged friends.
they have middle aged friends. Little sisters, I mean, they're the first people that will stick up for you.
Let's move
Have you
on.
met my brother?
No,
No.
put the shovel down. Just put the shovel
Telling
down
you,
and step
man.
back.
I don't understand.
No more. Stop speaking now.
Oh, no more. That's
My
it.
Comic Planet sends in a super chat. Hey, Rob, did you hear they announced Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet will be added to the Criterion Collection? I did. His film is the best and definitive adaptation, in my opinion. I think it is. I think it's a great choice. I think Criterion needs to put more marquee titles into the Criterion Collection, and that's a good one. I forget if it's 4K, though.
All right, what's next?
He's still laughing. Jonathan Honfley, I think I got that, said, I just became a member.
Thank you, man, very much.
What Marvel or DC movies are you most looking forward to? Mine's Flash with Keaton's return. Batman 89 was my first theater experience.
I got to tell you, with all the Ezra drama aside, just Andy Muschietti, the incredible rounds of confidence we've heard in it, the people we've talked to individually that said it's actually really good, Michael Keaton's return, the preview they showed us for it at CinemaCon was fantastic, where we got a real good look at Michael Keaton in there. It's hard not to have that high on the list. But there's a number of really great ones coming. I mean, I love James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy, so Guardians of the Galaxy 3's got to be up there.
Aren't we getting this holiday special next week?
When does the holiday special come out?
Yeah, it's November something.
Is it November? I
think,
thought it got to
yeah.
be within the week or something. So that's got to be getting close. I mean, if the Blade movie happens,
Oh yeah, Blade. Farther down the line, Nova, that series. I'm
I'm
looking
dying
forward
to see Secret Invasion. It's not a movie, but I'm
I mean,
dying to
but
see
then,
it.
and then obviously the big ones, the two Avengers movies, right?
Yeah.
Kang Dynasty, Secret Wars. I mean, that's gonna be.
And
the
I
top
can't wait
list.
to see Aquaman. I love the first Aquaman.
Yeah, that's gonna be good to see
I
too.
loved
So
it.
there's a lot of good stuff coming. Hopefully, good stuff. All right, what's next?
Mr. Godzilla says, "Hey guys, what do you guys think of a film based on Edgar Rice Burroughs' Pellucidar series? Do you think that with the advancements in technology that it can be done in a mature manner, unlike the 1976 film?"
I'm completely unfamiliar with.
Well,
it, to be
it's
honest.
it's the land that time forgot kind of a thing, you know. I sure, why not? Savage Land, whatever, X-Men. I think that you could do stuff like that now. I mean, you could, because dinosaur technology, you could do a like a Lost World movie and make it badass. Because we saw a little bit of what it could be in Godzilla versus Kong, you know, that center of the earth kind of business. I'd see that if that's what you mean.
All right, what's next?
Jim One says, any idea who Rotten Tomatoes scores or
Probably meant how.
How? Yeah.
Oh, any idea how Rotten Tomato scores work for TV? If a critic gives a positive review for 2 episodes but negative for the next 4, how does Rotten Tomatoes calculate the overall score?
They don't take the reviews that way. I mean, that's why it's tough to go to Rotten Tomatoes for TV scores, to be honest with you, because like once you submit your review, and they'll do it by season, they'll break it down by season. So season 1 will get 1 rating, season 2 will get another rating. But here's the thing, like Willow, people have seen the first 3 reviews, and they're going to go and submit their reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, but you only get to submit it for the season once. And so it's going to get this positive review. But what happens if the next 4 episodes suck, or the next, I don't know how many episodes Willow's going to be, probably 6, but what if the next 3 suck? Then what? I don't know. That's why, to me, there's nothing Rotten Tomatoes can do about that, really. So, but for us as an audience, that's why I don't generally look at Rotten Tomatoes scores for TV seasons, because who knows when the reviews came in, who knows if they changed their opinion of it between that and when the later, it's too up there. That's why I just mainly look at Rotten Tomatoes for movie reviews.
Yeah.
All right. Good question, though. Great question. All right. What's next?
Lost Anchor Film says, excited for $18.99 to come out today. Man, I am stoked. It's made from the creators of Dark, which is my favorite show of all time.
And, I hear from a lot of people how much they love that show. I've watched 1 episode of it and I liked it, but I never finished it.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. Someday I got to finish that one off. So many people like it.
Yeah. And I love that the $18.99 is on Netflix, so you can binge the whole thing.
But do we know what it's about? What's $18.99 about?
All I know is
because it's
that,
not connected to Dark, right?
No. As far as I know, there is a steamer ship, like a tramp steamer. It's a big steamer ship with a bunch of people on it traveling across the Atlantic or whatever. And they come across like a similar looking ship, an identical ship, where everyone has disappeared. Something has happened to them.
I love shows that start like that. Shows or movies that start like that. I love those types of hooks.
And then there looks to be cults and multi-dimensions, maybe alien intervention, the supernatural. I have no idea. But whatever happened, something bad happened on that ship that begins to start happening to the same people on the ship that we are here.
All right.
Ship. Count me in.
What's next?
Could be totally different than I don't know. Dat Boy 22.
Dat boy.
Pixar makes mature movies that also happen to be family friendly. A few Pixar movies have even been nominated for Best Screenplay.
Yeah, and nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Up was nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Toy Story 3 was nominated for Best Picture. Only 3 animated films. I think it's still just 3. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse should have been nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
But only 3 animated films in history have been nominated for Best Picture. The first one ever was Beauty and the Beast, fully deserved. And then the 2 Pixar films. So yeah, they are the cream of the crop. Absolutely. All right, what's next?
Jedediah Elias says, when is Movie Club returning?
Not really sure, to be honest with you. I mean, we will do another one, but we don't have it on the schedule right now. I will say this probably pretty safely, probably not until at least the new year.
Yeah.
Maybe in January, February at some point. All right, what's next?
We should do a movie club about Avatar,
Inception.
the first Avatar.
Yeah,
I
with
mean,
Avatar 2 coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be an interesting, just because I would love to revisit the movie to talk about
that's
it.
probably not a bad idea,
Just a special holiday edition.
All right. What's next?
Mr. Godzilla says, for fun, an opposite kind of question. What Marvel event or storyline should Marvel never adapt?
Well, there's thousands of them.
The Clone Saga.
I am one of the few people who will always defend the Clone Saga.
I know we talked about it on the weekly here.
I honestly, even as I watch people do their breakdown hate videos about why they don't like the Clone Saga, a lot of people didn't like it and whatever. But even as I watched some videos breaking down everything we thought was wrong with the Clone Saga, I watched it. I'm still like, I don't agree. I actually thought it was a pretty good story. I liked it, but I'm in the vast minority on that one. I'm in the vast minority on that.
Yeah.
But can you think of any stories they shouldn't do?
Oh, I think there's, like you said, there's so many.
Yeah.
I can't think of one. I mean,
yeah, that would take a while.
I'd be
All
like,
right, what's next?
which comic? Avengers, X-Men, which stories? Culture Wars Diplomacy sends in a 1999 super chat.
Thank you, Culture Wars.
Hot take. An artist or a piece of art with a reputation being accused of being too political usually means the art failed to back it up in the story, with everything else, not that it shouldn't be political.
George Lucas once said, all art is political.
It is political.
Or actually said, all art is politics.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Art, good art, is the perception of the world as it is, as we fear it could be, or as we dream it could be, right?
I like that.
Ultimately, that's what art is. And it's being told from the perspective of a storyteller. If you're going to talk about the world you think it is, the way you hope it is, or the way you fear it'll be, it ultimately is going to be political, right? Now, there's a difference between having political elements in your film and being overtly political. Sure, there is a difference. But, you know, even if you look back at like George's original Star Wars movies, they were all influenced by politics. And when you look back and you hear him talk about the rebellion represented this, the empire represented this, I mean, it's infused with politics. What I normally find when people complain that that movie is too political, what they are really saying is that movie didn't line up with my politics.
Right.
Whether you're left or right. It's not that the problem is that there was politics involved in it. It's that you don't like that it didn't line up with your politics. And again, I find people on the left and right are both equally as guilty as that.
Yes. And I also think what our viewer was saying too is that if a storyline is just about the politics and does what you do, presents a political situation, and that's all it does.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I loved about Captain America Civil War is that in the movie especially, you have two guys with a difference of opinion about the regulation of superpowers. And like Tony Stark's like, why don't we register? We should register with the government. And Captain America's like, no way. You're not limiting my freedom or telling me what I should or shouldn't do. And then that conflict plays out. And I thought that's a very political message. It's about freedom. It's about responsibility. And both guys have a point to make. Like Tony Stark's like, we're very powerful. There should be regulation. And Captain America's like, no, because if there's regulation, our powers can be used by the powers that be to. And that's a really interesting, that's political debate. And in doing so, in the context of a story, it doesn't necessarily offend. It doesn't tell you what you should think. It gives you something to think about. You think about that conflict. We could have a conversation about that through Steve Rogers and Tony Stark's eyes. And that's great art.
And what's unfortunate, I find in some corners of movie fandom, is that sometimes certain things are mislabeled as political. When sometimes there are issues that people will label as political issues that are really just human issues. Mm-hmm. You know, fairness, equality, things like that.
Yep.
Some people will label that as politics.
Well, the problem is that people have used culture wars as their only politics now.
That's true.
So that when you address something like that, oh, well, that's a culture war. That wasn't my intent. And you're just making this aside. It's not about that.
Yeah. I mean, it is, but it is part of human nature, right? That, you know what? I'm going to opt to not go in the direction I was about to go. And so let's just move on to our next question, shall we? What's next?
Good comment, though. Ahmed says, took your suggestion to watch the first 2 episodes of Yellowstone. quite good, actually.
Yeah, and you know what? You're talking about the slowest, dullest, worst episodes. I mean, and that's true for a lot of shows, really.
Yeah.
But Yellowstone is one of the shows like Andor where it's got to get itself going. And once it moves, it just gets better and better and better and better. Oh, God, I love it. I think it's the best show on TV right now. I'm glad you decided to check it out. All right, what's next?
Rachel Knight on... Oh, wait, hang on. Carlos Lima says, with the merger of Blumhouse and Atomic Monster, do you think it's possible to get the Universal Monsters Dark Universe rebooted?
No. I think we will get more movies drawn on that older IP.
Yes.
But I think this hackneyed idea of this grand shared cinematic universe. Hey, listen, that doesn't mean there can't be some crossover or whatever, but the dream that was the faltering dream that was this shared cinematic universal dark universe, I think that's gone.
I do think guaranteed they're going to both. Lee Wanell already did Invisible Man.
Yep, and we're going to get Wolfman.
And James
and we're
Wan.
Get,
I think they're going to. I would not be surprised if James Wan and Lee Wanell team up to do remakes or reimaginings of all of those movies.
Yep, absolutely. More of them. I just don't think the shared cinematic universe is going to happen. All right, what's next?
Rachel Knight online says She-Hulk feels like MCU's failed attempt to make a CW show.
Oh, they didn't fail. They actually achieved that.
Yeah, they actually achieved making a CW. Yeah, except that the CW shows were funnier.
Yeah.
Again, that's the thing for me. At the end of the day, that was the only sin that show committed, was that it was not funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you tried to do things in a funny way, but it just wasn't funny. And when you're trying to tell a joke that's not funny, nothing makes a room quieter. Then trust me, I know, because that's pretty much my life. She's trying to make a joke, and everything's dead quiet. Yep, you've never fallen on your face harder than that.
I really wonder if the writing team had like comedy chops.
It doesn't feel like they did.
Could have been the issue.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Alex sends in a super chat and says, theory, an incursion will happen in SW
Secret Wars?
616 will survive with characters from multiple timelines that were on Battle World during the incursion. Films from other timelines would still matter then. I think that's kind of exactly what's going to happen. I mean, I think the 616 universe is going to be sealed off, and Battle World will allow other variants. That's probably where we'll get another T'Challa, and they'll definitely they'll use that somehow.
That's where all these like multiversal or madness like incursions. That's what the incursions are leading to.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
All right, and is that it?
That's all.
All right, guys, and that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to you guys who sent in those super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did, and all of us involved with the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, keep your eyes open on the channel. We still have a few other things coming up today. We've got an open mic coming a little bit later today at 3 p.m. Los Angeles time. Make sure you're here for that. For those of you who are our channel members and you've been sending in some of your channel member chats, Rob is doing a channel member chat video a little bit later just for our channel members, so keep your eyes open for that. Also, a little bit later today, watch for me and my right out of the theater reactions to The Menu and She Said, both coming later today.
Wow.
Big busy day around the channel here, so thank you again for all that. So for everybody in the room, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett and his sister's dating club, Ray Orr joining you guys.
I'm not the only one.
Live chat. Jonathan Boyko running the show today. Taylor Gonzalez over there. My name's John Campea. Thanks for being here, guys, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.